Well, a joint project between left and right-wing think tanks, two groups who might have two different ways of doing things, has come up with a very fascinating report that's been released earlier this evening. Now, this particular research has looked at the way in which policy decisions that have been taken and have been implemented, whether they've worked. Now, it's not so about whether or not it was a good idea, it was just the process. Let's look at the ones that were seen as unacceptable. There's a little shopping list of policies. First off, the creation of the Home Affairs Department by the Feds was given by this paper an average rating of 2 out of 10. The Federal Marriage Law Postal Survey was given an average rating of 2.5 out of 10. The New South Wales local government merger was given an average rating of 2.5. And the Queensland Vegetation Management Laws of 2018 was given a 2.5 out of 10. I'm going to get a lot of mail complaining from the Queensland government, but oh well, pish-tosh, who cares in that regard. So Matthew, what's the basis of the rating? It does seem that there is all about whether or not there was a need for these things to be done, and then the process was followed from there. Is that basically right?
That's right. So in really what is an Australian first, the Institute of Public Affairs, a centre-right free market think tank, along with Per Capita, I guess a progressive left think tank, were both commissioned by the New Democracy Foundation to have a look at whether or not, not necessarily whether or not policies are achieving outcomes, but whether or not governments are following good process. Are they doing the real core basics of being in government, which is, are governments properly stating the objectives of policy? Are they stating a public interest justification? Have they considered different alternatives? Have they done a cost-benefit analysis of those different alternatives and what it's going to cost the Australian people for those policies? Have they considered how to implement the policies? Have they done a green and a white paper? Has it been communicated? So this isn't necessarily as much as the sexy outcomes of policy, but it's more about whether or not our governments are functioning properly. And what we've come to, I suppose, a kind of consensus between the two separate reports developed independently by the think tanks is often Australian governments really aren't following good process. So you take the case of the Home Affairs Department. That really looked like what was quite a captain's call, captain's pick from the Prime Minister Malcolm Turnbull at the time. There wasn't an analysis of the options. It didn't really come out of any report. I mean, it was quite a substantial change in administrative arrangements and really lacked kind of the proper necessary consultation process and just determining whether or not it's actually a good idea to combine these departments together, in that case, in creating the new department. And then really what the conclusion of this is that, well, we've got the situation where Australian people are losing faith in the political process. And partly when it comes to policy making, governments have themselves to blame because they're not really following best practice.